Great Biafrans, lovers of truth, freedom, and justice, members of the Biafran community worldwide, human rights advocates, and everyone joining me tonight across X, Facebook, and other platforms. I welcome you all to this very important live broadcast. I also want to welcome my conscious ladies and gentlemen from my consciousness community. I welcome you all to this very important live broadcast. And I say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're listening to me from. Before I proceed, I would like to find out from my sister, Ebere Chukwu. Am I coming out clearly on X and on Facebook? I seem to always have this issue with... Sister Ebere, can you let me know if I'm coming out clearly on Twitter, X? Okay, can I get a confirmation on Facebook that I am coming out loud and clear? Okay. Okay. I am here today to speak directly to our people because there's been too much confusion, too many voices, too many lies flying around. Thank you, Mazi, Chukunomso, and the rest. I can't seem to see properly. Okay, thank you. Thank you. As I was saying, there's too much confusion. And at this time, it's very important that we call our people to order. And when the air becomes polluted like this, somebody must clear it. As you know, I like to stick to my 1 hour broadcast or maximum 1 hour and a half or 30 minutes. And that is because of the attention span that we struggle with these days. This broadcast is not for drama. I want us to understand something clearly tonight. It is not gossip or for those who enjoy chaos. I am here to address one thing, and that thing is the battle for narrative control, as my topic says, and how fake accounts, internal sabotage, and external propaganda are undermining IPOB and the struggle for Mazi Nnamdi freedom. Someone is saying, speak Igbo. There are people who do not understand Igbo language, my dear. So that is why we stick to English. But I'll try as much as I can to be as simple as I should be, as I can be. We are one family. And we must allow our perspectives to flow through the lens of one family, irrespective of our differences in traits or character, just as our faces are different. To call out the real enemies, those spreading fake accounts, misinformation, and internal sabotage are the real enemies. If you see yourself flying around with misinformation, if you see yourself flying around with lies that you know within your heart that you are lying, you are the real enemy. Let us be honest. There are fake accounts. Fake accounts are everywhere. People who were never part of this movement are suddenly speaking with authority. Some are doing it for clout. Some are doing it for money. Some are doing it just to destroy from within. And while they are busy creating noise, the real work suffers. And what is the real work? The real work is the Biafra restoration. The real work is the protection of our people. The real work is our land, or the protection of our land. That is the real work. The real work is the release of our brothers and sisters held illegally in several hidden locations and prisons in Nigeria, and the release of Mazi. The Fulani jihadists are moving from southeast from the west. They are moving through Kwara. They've gone into Oyo, if I remember the topography of that area correctly. They're going to move through behind Ore, Benin, Asaba, because they believe that they can encroach through Onitsha. And if you think they will stop, then you are yet to understand the jihadist Islamization agenda. While narrative controls are colliding, chaos and gossip spreading across the land, the Fulanis have flooded our land and are still flooding our land with sleeper cells. As sleeper cells. Have you noticed the increase in the number of Fulani Okada riders in Biafra land? If you do not know it today, that those are sleeper cells. You see some of them selling your Indomie noodles and eggs, suya, carrots, kwili and et al. They could also be sleeper cells. And I'm sure we all know what sleeper cells mean. How they infiltrate the community, living a normal life just as you do and awaiting activation. And how some sleeper cells might be 10 individuals, 1, 2, 3, 4, however, 20 in a location, for an example, or less or more in a group stationed in a location. And they will not even know that they are all under one command. That is called decentralized operations. Okay, I'm getting a report that my voice is breaking on Twitter. I am getting a report that my voice is breaking on Twitter. Sister, can you confirm if that it's better now? Is it clearer? Okay. Okay, Facebook is great, but Twitter is breaking. I do not know why that is the case. Does it sound clearer now, Sister Ebere? Oh, great. I think, okay, because I had an earpiece on, because I thought that would give me a more suitable audio, but that wasn't the case, and I'm sorry about that. So if I recap a little bit, I did talk about how we are focusing on chaos, why our land has been flooded with sleeper cells. Yes, sister, I have taken off the piece. I've taken off the earpiece. It's off now. It is off now. Okay, so as I was saying, some of these sleeper cells are placed on decentralized operations, and that means that they are operating as part of a clandestine cell system. These members would typically have little or no contact with other cells, with other sleeper cells. So how they are compartmentalized is where one department or where one network fails or one cell is compromised, the broader network remains hidden until they swing into action when activation is triggered. So let us keep that in mind, that the jihadists are here. Now, what does the battle for narrative control mean? Short answer would be the battle for narrative control being the struggle over who gets to shape the story, who gets to shape the truth, and the public perception of a movement, event, or leader. It is about power, not physical power, but information power. In the next coming weeks, my teachings will go live, and you can get the link to continue with this teaching. Very important. As a transformative life coach, I teach through the lens of spiritual and psychological consciousness, and these are acquired through lived experiences and spiritual awakening. It's not usually something you get in books. Okay, so it's important that when my links go live, that you follow these links for these teachings. They will help us a lot. They will awaken us, and they will heighten our consciousness as to why we are here. So the phrase, the battle for narrative control, simply describes a situation where different groups or different people are fighting to define the meaning of what is happening. So whoever controls the narrative controls how the public sees the movement, who is blamed or praised, what supporters believe, what outsiders think is true, what direction the movement takes. It is a struggle over truth, perception, and legitimacy. So the battle for narrative control is the fight over who defines the truth of a movement. This is, as this case may be. It is a struggle between clarity and confusion, unity and division, truth and manipulation, just as we are experiencing. So whoever controls the narrative controls the direction, the loyalty, and the future of the movement. That is why misinformation, fake voices, and internal conflict are dangerous. They are weapons designed to hijack the story from within, to win a movement. Or rather, for a movement to win, the movement must protect its image, strengthen its communication, and remain disciplined, united, and focused on its original purpose. This has been my motto from day one. For those who've never listened to my broadcast, who've never heard where I went on Radio Biafra to talk about our movement and the things going on and how to deal with the issues, you may not know, but let me reiterate it today, that all I have ever stood for is unity. All I've ever stood for is discipline. All I've ever stood for is the purpose for which we are here for. If you're not disciplined, I have no business with you. If you are not focused, I have no business with you. If you're not in unity, I step away from you. I will mention a few points here before I progress. Since 2015, I have always stood on the grounds of unity. And whenever Onyendu Mazi is taking, there is always this person who cooks poison and creates chaos and creates disunity, creates misinformation, creates a label of blackmail and propaganda, and starts to throw it around. I am someone who is very strong in my belief that whatever I believe on, nobody moves me. As long as it aligns with my spiritual belief and my spiritual standing, I cannot be moved. Okay, so I have always stood on the purpose, which is our people coming together for the restoration of Biafra. But that is the goal. But along this goal, there are steps, there are events, there are happenings, and those must be capped under a law, a policy, or code of conduct, and our rules and regulations. Because humans, is not every human that possess the consciousness to behave in a certain way to align with the purpose of a movement or our organization, or even as you have in a country. That is why there is law. Because when you obey the law, you don't have to be conscious. I think I've made a post on that. One would not be bothered about being conscious or having a certain level of awareness to behave in a certain way. So you follow the law. You follow the law. If there was no red light, it's not everyone that would wait for someone else to, to drive through. Some would want to show that they drive better or faster, or want to show something, or I got here before you. So with the red light, you are authorized to stop. You must stop. So this is why we have laws, and laws must be obeyed. Otherwise, you will have chaos. Okay, so I may not be saying a lot on Facebook, on social media, but I do quite a lot. And because I am burdened with so much for a person my age, all I ask is God's strength to keep me and guide me. And stay my tongue, stay my hands, that I may stand and speak at the appropriate time. As you all know, we went to Sokoto. I was not meant to travel that far, not yet, at least. Some of you know, some of you do not know that I had a major surgery. When my link goes live, a part of me will be revealed at least every once a month. Okay, so I need our people to understand and to know me at least, because some people don't know me. Some people don't know anything about me. Some people choose to create some narratives about me. I'm less bothered about that. And in time, all that will be set right. But let me not deviate further out. We visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Sokoto. We spent a week. And what myself, our brother Bright Chimeze, and our brother Chiwendo, I can't remember the surname now, myself and then Nabi came, of course. We visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And every single day, the conversation that I had with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I have continued to have with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is the importance of the world looking at us. It is very important. If you are not aware, if you do not know, if you are not conscious that we are being watched, I want you to know that today. Okay? All of these are tied in this narrative control. I'm getting someone wanting to join me on video. I'm sorry, you cannot do that. Okay, please. Perhaps another time when I'm having a different kind of broadcast, then you can join. This is just for me to speak. Okay? So, I have always laid out the importance of our unity whenever I speak with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. When I visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in 2024 in the DSS, with the help of Mazi, late Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, God blessed his departed soul. Whoever gave you people that narrative that you're flying around, how he is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's enemy, is who I do not know. Even before I visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in 2024, late Ifeanyi Ubah had already visited him several times. Was providing financial support. Okay? And he made sure that I saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because there were some plays around me not being able to see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that weekend. I'm not here to talk about people that I'm not in the mood to speak about them today. When I'm ready for them, I will speak of them. But today is centered around narrative control. So when I saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in that 2024, I told Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, these are the narratives flying around. These are the narratives flying around. And before that 2024, I have sent messages to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu through Barrister Ejiofor, through my sister. And I said, I had a vision. I don't dream. I see things. When you go to Sokoto to see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, ask Mazi Nnamdi Kanu if everything happening today, if he was aware, if I ever made these things aware, years before they happen. Years before they happen. Okay? So I said to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Nigerian government's intention is to make you irrelevant. We are dealing with a government who is not just evil, but they carry propaganda. They carry a sudden hatred that has lived on for years, planted by the British government from the inception and the creation of that contraption called Nigeria. And the very people at the receiving end are the Biafrans. So it is very important that we understand our battle, the people we're dealing with, and how we must fortify ourselves. That every single time you are taken, that you are kidnapped, or however it is that you are incarcerated, it is imperative that everyone stands as one. That everyone stands under the command and control that you have set until your return. But that has never been the case. Who actually receives the most painful experience whenever Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is arrested? I leave you to answer that question. I leave you to answer that question. So I have spoken about unity, I have spoken about discipline, and I have spoken about the understanding of the purpose to why we're here. But every single time, or every time Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is incarcerated, one single person, a sadist, filled with poison, festers everyone's mind and starts to build a narrative. Oh, they want to take Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's position. They want to take Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's seat. Nobody is taking Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's position. You have no proof of any. You just create a picture, you create a narrative and then run with it. Those who have the same feelings as yourself, those who have the same perspective towards the people in the leadership, they already, they follow you, and then you start to sing your narrative all over the place, causing chaos. Causing chaos. Forgetting the people who are at the lower food chain. Those who are locked away that nobody remembers. How many of you have woken up one morning, walked to prisons and asked, are there any IPB members locked up here? You don't. The ones that their parents or their fathers or mothers are locked up, who caters for them? Do you care? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu once, I think, sent how much? Almost ₦1 million to a moron. Where is the wife of a consul? Oh, she's run off with another man. She's living with another man. She abandoned her children. She did this. You lay accusations and propaganda against people who are not there to defend themselves, just to get peanuts. One thing you must know is that Ikonso was someone whose death pained Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And for you to mess with his children, you're in big hot soup. This thing you're running around and creating narratives all over the place, jumping like moron, will not save you. Just mark today's date. Watch and see. Now, why is that a battle for narrative control? The deeper consciousness behind why there is a battle for narrative control goes far beyond politics IPOB, or even Africa. It is rooted in human psychology, power, identity, and survival. When you exploit at that level, the whole thing becomes clearer, sharper, and almost inevitable. We all have sacrificed one thing, two things, three things, or more in this struggle, in this movement. Why is there so much hate? Why is there so much greed? Why is there so much pain towards another person? Why is there so much wickedness? None of you has empathy, single empathy. Why can't you have space, holding space for one another at a time critical as this? Holding space, it is what makes families to hold on for one another, to hold on for the other person. You hold on for that other person. Why? Because you are of one family. You may not always agree, but it is not your job is not to kill, not to disseminate, not to destroy, not to damage. I have about 8 roots in human psychology for this, but I will mention just one for now. And as I said, you will get most of these teachings as soon as the links go live. One of these roots is the emotional root. People are easier to manipulate and control when they are angry or afraid. Narrative battles always target emotions because of anger, which blinds, because of fear, confusion, and division, which destroys. Underline the word destroys. So if you control how people feel, you can control how they think. This is why fake accounts push outrage, panic, suspicion, internal fights, ego battles, false accusations. It is an emotional warfare. But is this new? No, it is not new. Africa has seen this before. Let nobody think that what we are facing today has never happened before. This playbook has played many times. Yes, played many times in the past, still playing to today. In Angola, Mozambique, in Guinea-Bissau, Portugal, they use fake stories, planted agents, and propaganda to divide the liberation movement. In South Africa, the apartheid regime tried to hijack the ANC's narratives with misinformation and infiltration. Lumumba faced the same thing. Fake letters, internal betrayal, and external propaganda. Nkrumah too. Psychological operations were used to weaken the people's confidence. The strategy is always the same. Confuse the people, divide the movement, and weaken the struggle. Not just in Africa, Europe has used the same tactics. It is narrative warfare. So narrative warfare is not an African problem. It's actually the Europeans who perfected it. The Nazi Germany controlled the entire society with propaganda. The Soviet Union used disinformation to infiltrate movements and rewrite truth. One of the results, or one of the products of misinformation and narrative twist is rewriting of the truth. They change the story and rewrite the truth. In Northern Ireland, psychological operations were used to divide communities and control the story. The strategy and method never changes. That strategy to create fake voices, spread confusion, and destroy unity does not change. Now, come to our own history, the Biafra genocide. We don't even need to look far. Our own history carries the clearest warning. During the Biafra genocide, over 2 million of our people died. While the world was told it was propaganda. Nigeria controlled the narrative. Foreign powers supported the lies, led by Britain. Fake stories were used to justify the war. And then you have the internal sabotage, which weakened the struggle. Biafra did not lose because it lacked courage. Do you know what it means to stand and face an army without much ammunition for 3 years and hold them? Do you know what that is? That was courage. Biafra lost because it lost the narrative. The Nigerian government said it was a police action. They said the starvation of children was exaggerated. They used the radio propaganda to turn other ethnic groups against the Igbos, which we are still suffering till today. Which is also the pathway to lead us out, to continue to seek that which our forefathers sought. The world believed them. So this is why narrative control is not a small issue. It is something that is something that we fight for. It is survival. Even the Bible shows the same pattern, even in the spiritual world. The Nehemiah story. The Bible contains numerous examples of narrative manipulation. Okay? Joseph was falsely accused and imprisoned. Daniel was targeted through political conspiracy. David faced misinformation and deception from those seeking his downfall. Nehemiah faced coordinated attempts to discourage and discredit him while rebuilding Jerusalem. Most importantly, Jesus Christ himself was subjected to false accusations and manipulated public opinion. That is, at least that's the story of the Christians. That is how he's laid. False witnesses appeared. We had false witnesses appear in the court, during Mazi Namdekano's court proceedings. You have rumors spreading. Crowds were influenced. The lesson is crystal clear. Truth does not automatically triumph. But must that stop us from standing for the truth? No. So truth must be defended, communicated, and preserved in every breath that we take. We must speak the truth always, even if it leads to our death. Isn't that what we say in IPOB? Okay? But when Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, his enemies didn't start with weapons. They don't usually start with weapons. They started with narrative warfare. Sanballat and Tobiah used fake letters, misinformation, intimidation, and internal collaborators to weaken the movement. They mocked the work. They spread lies. They tried to discredit the leader. They even used fake prophets to confuse the people. So now you can see that even fake prophets and fake awakened ones who are mentally ill, who should get some diagnosis for their mental disorder did not start to exist today. Internal sabotage is not new. Fake voices are not new. Propaganda is not new. So even then, Nehemiah refused to be distracted. He said, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. That is the discipline we need today. To say, I am here for the restoration of Biafra, to fight for my brothers and sisters who are held illegally in several hidden places in Nigeria called prisons, and for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That is our job. That is our responsibility. I will go back again. I have constantly spoken about unity, that we all stand as one until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu comes up, until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released. Allow the people who are laden with the daily activities of the struggle to do their job until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is set free. Let us all work together. But that should come from a place of reflection. You have to reflect in order to see that you need to work together with your brother and your sister. But while you refuse to reflect, while you refuse to come to that transformation and hold in space for one another, how can you work together? You carry on with your propaganda, with your false narrative, and create confusion, create factions that turns around and fight the leadership, while you ought to stay as one and fight the enemy, the common enemy. So internal sabotage is a more uncomfortable issue. History has teaches us that many movements struggle, not only because of external pressure, but because of internal division. External propaganda most times can be anticipated and well prepared for. No serious political movement operates in a vacuum. Every movement exists within a broader information environment. External actors often seek to shape perceptions, and this happens globally. Governments do it. Political parties, political organizations do it. Media organizations do it. Let's use BBC, for example, is the only thing that can come to mind. Myself and Nabi Kim, we're currently watching the documentary they released, and we've only done few minutes in. And the first thing is like, surviving Biafra. How can you survive Biafra? It was the survival. We fought for survival. People were not struggling to survive us. So that's the number one twist to the narrative. We will finish that documentary when Nabi Kim closes off, because I want him to watch it with me. So I'm waiting for him to break off from school, and then we'll watch it, and then we'll see. Interest groups also do that. The purpose is often simple: to control the public perception and influence their opinion and shape international understanding. So for supporters of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and our Biafran struggle, our Biafran cause, this reality requires vigilance. In every action that you take and word you speak and write on social media, how are you portraying Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? How are you portraying our Biafran struggle? And how are you portraying our system to the world? How are you showing the world that our system will operate? Is it going to be filled with mad people who can't think, who can't use their brains? So not every headline tells the full story, and most viral posts are very inaccurate. So internal sabotage usually ensues from disagreements. And this is when disagreements become personal. When that happens, our unity suffers. In an organization, in a movement, when disagreements become personal, their unity suffers. And confusion will grow so large that loyalty to personalities will become greater than the loyalty to principles. And that's why we have problems. When you allow suspicion to replace trust, your progress will stall. Every movement contains different viewpoints. That is quite natural. So healthy debate is not sabotage. Neither is constructive criticism. And when you ask a question, that is not sabotage. However, deliberate attempts to undermine objectives, spread misinformation, create unnecessary conflict, or weaken public confidence can have serious consequences. Let me tell you something. You know, when Mazi was released in 2017, Mazi release it had a great impact on the movement. It resonated all over the world. That was when the name of Mazi and IPOB started to resonate around the world on tables of international news houses and governments. Okay? Now, how did that happen? That happened through legal battle as well as political legal input and political input from our brothers, from our political elites. Now, the people that actually propagated, that laid the channel for the legal input to happen, were blackmailed. How did the blackmail start? By false narrative and propaganda. Blackmail. Oh, that they want to take over from Onye Mazi and the Kano. The same nonsense going on today. Because you're not disciplined, because you behave like a mad dog. You go about raising dust. How about you sit and work with these people? Where can I do this? How can I get this? How can we do this? Is there something you need me to do? Where do you want me to go? No. Rather, you sit aside and manipulate, concoct, blackmail, and start to throw on people who are working, people who truly love Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, people who really care about him. And then what happened? They were all blackmailed and sent out. How I was treated is in my book. How can you suffer for fighting the right fight? Every single person that were in the path of destroying Mazi Nnamdi Kanu became Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's allies. Became those who walk in front with him. While those who fought for his freedom were blackmailed. But I have always stood in the middle. I said that in my last broadcast. I stand as a bridge. That is my job. It is not easy, but it has to be done because that's my purpose. I have a job to do, and that is to stand between Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the DOS. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the leader, remains the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. And the DOS led by Mazi Chikedozie remains the leadership that spearheads this struggle until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released. all this blackmail going and running around telling Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, oh, this, that, then you twist your narrative and come out. It will not stand. Not this time. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being viewed through the international lens. They want to see, are these people serious? How do they hold space for another? How do they use their laws? How do they implement their policies? How does their principle change by who it affects? When I do something wrong and then the law changes, then we do not want that country. I stand as a bridge between that which is seen and which is unseen. You all better wake up to that reality. All this messing around and making noise like people who escaped from a psychiatric home has to stop. This disgrace has to stop. This madness has to stop. Our people are dying. Our people are being killed. There are children who can't eat. Lives must be protected. And every single one must give an account of what they did. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be released. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will bring every single one together. This is what I have said from day one. This is what I have said. Everyone calm down. Sit under the leadership of the DOS until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released. How hard is that? How difficult is that? Let us all work as one. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu ought to have been released by now. He ought to have been released by now. But for your selfishness, for your wickedness, for your greed, and for your unconsciousness, you have stood and created nothing but chaos, affecting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, affecting everyone else, affecting me and his child. So you all better sit up and protect IPOB like it's your life. Protect Mazi Nnamdi Kanu because we are a people who are targeted. Ndi beribe na amara na ndi iro ha chọrọ ka ha nwụsịa ndi beribe. Sit up. There is no how the DOS will take over from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Not in this life. Let us all work together. When Mazi Nnamdi Kanu comes out, then every single person will lay their grievances. I have mine. But I have stayed my tongue and hands. How? Make it make sense. What do you think Wednesday is? Oh, that no. It shows that it shows the stupidity of a certain people. That's what it shows. It shows that you cannot comport yourself under a certain law. That's what it means. But that is not who we are. We are people who question evil behavior. That is who we are. It does not mean that Ibana here Wednesday. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is one person who has brought our people together this far. So let's stick to it. Let's sit down here, support this DOS until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu comes out. Whatever that wants to happen, then let it begin happening from there. But right now, no such thing is happening. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu remains the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, and the DOS led by Mazi Chikedozie sits on there. So our people must learn to distinguish between genuine disagreement, honest criticism, and coordinated disruption. The future depends on our ability to make those distinctions wisely. The impact of fake accounts, internal sabotage, and propaganda on IPOB and the struggle for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release. Not just Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release, our brothers and sisters who are held in several places in Nigeria. Who asks of them? Some months ago, Barrister Joffor released the remaining 50 people from Ebonyi. Over 30-something people, 36 or so, 35, were released. How many of these lawyers go to prisons by themselves and ask who here was arrested and has been incarcerated here for the sake of being an IP member or even falsely accused? Some people are dying. All of a sudden, we no longer hold lives sacred. We don't hold people's feelings sacred. And you wonder why we're being punished? When you rise against a human life, when you rise against the spirit of someone else, you are altering the spiritual order of living. And you pay for it. You don't escape it. You will pay for it. So we have to be mindful of the energies that we are throwing around other people's spirit. It's very important. Many supporters ask a critical question. Why does misinformation matter? Why do fake accounts matter? Why does internal division matter? The answer is simple, because these issues directly affect the effectiveness of the struggle and the campaign for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's freedom. No movement can succeed when its supporters are constantly confused, because that's what this whole thing creates. It creates confusion among supporters. So when multiple accounts claim to represent the movement, supporters struggle to know who is speaking officially, which directives are genuine, which information is accurate, which strategy should we follow as the members, and what is confusion right there. That is confusion right there. That's your feedback. Confusion. That's all you get. Nothing more. Just confusion. The impact is that it diverts attention, from the task to have our brothers and sisters in several Nigerian hidden prisons and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release. So the central issue should be justice, legal rights, and due process for their freedom. Instead, we often found ourselves being consumed by online conflict, internal accusations, personality clashes, and endless social media controversies. Every hour spent fighting one another is an hour not spent advancing the core cause. And the result is that the central objective risks being overshadowed by secondary disputes. You're just not making noise online and not doing any job. How many people are campaigning for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's? How many people are campaigning on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's appeal? Is anybody speaking about that? No. You're more interested. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, there is something that makes Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a person. His essence. What is that? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has a child who is watching how his father deals with issues such as this. Who is watching who comes to alter his life and how his father treats that very person. He's watching. He's not a child. He's 10, but he's more than 10. He is watching. All you noise makers in the end will go home. Our eternal father, Ojukwu, how many of you visited him before he left this world? You were all praising him on social media. How many of you went to his house? In the end, he stayed with it was he and his children, not his siblings, not his anything else, his children. In the end, every other single person were not in his house. They also had grown old and were being looked after by their children. So you lovers of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, do not love him to his peril. Do not love him to your own destruction. You bring your destruction and your toxicity, and you are bringing it around Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, affecting every single thing that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has. I will continue to say it. This is not the right time for chaos. This is not the right time for squabbles. This is not the right time for quarreling, for exchanging words. This is not the right time. We have something more pressing. And that is our responsibility, because these squabbles, this nonsense, they damage the movement's credibility. It does not just damage the movement's credibility, it also damages Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's credibility. Because public perception matters. I know you guys are morons. You don't know what integrity is. You don't know what personality is. You don't know what perception around someone means. You don't know what it means for you to have a character. You don't know what it means for you to have an upright status and reputation. You don't know what organizations fight to protect reputation. Reputation is number one thing that must be protected. International observers matter. They are watching us. These false narratives, they have caused us issues on the international tables. Human rights organizations also matter. They are watching. Journalists matter. Diplomatic actors also matter. So when outsiders see confusion, contradictory messages, and public infighting, questions arise about leadership, organizational codes and conduct and coherence. Even when a cause has legitimate grievances, poor communication and internal conflict can make it harder for others to understand or support those grievances. So credibility is one of the most valuable assets any movement possesses. I am seeing a comment, IPOB is not Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's property. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has several broadcasts where he says that IPOB does not belong to him, does not belong to his family. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has said that severally. So I want us all to treat this very problem that we're facing as the false narrative brought about by those who are spreading misinformation, misalignment of who we are. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of IPOB. He's not the owner of it. He didn't say he's the owner. He said that IPOB does not belong to him. He also said that IPOB has a mind of their own. He also said that it does not belong to his family. But we are all here to work for something. Can we stop all this nonsense into just when you keep throwing answers? You're not listening. You are not listening to what I'm saying. You're not listening to the core message. You already have something in your head that you want to throw. I cannot tell Aloy Ejimako to leave Mazi Nnamdi Kanu alone. I have told Mazi Nnamdi Kanu several times that Aloy is not his path to freedom. So it is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's responsibility to choose who he wants to represent him. But our job as members, as supporters of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and as the champions, those campaigning for the cause of Biafra, our job is to clip the wings of mad people who come out, who bring misinformation from wherever they go and spread false narratives around. That is our job. It is not our job to sit and be quarreling and throwing words and tell this person to do this, do this, do that. No, our job is to catch them and show them where to sit. Because we have a greater task at hand, and that is the protection of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the protection of our people, our land, and our cause as Biafra. That is our job. That is what we are here to do. So if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is using the lawyer you just called, the lawyer himself, we will make sure that he does not alter who we are. We will make sure that he does not contaminate our vessels of information. Okay? That is our job. We must stop throwing complaints and throwing, why this? Oh, why that? This also makes it easier for opponents to dismiss the movement. Christian genocide was raised. Some people, they took it off us and ran off. They've abandoned it. They have abandoned it. People without lines, people without purpose. They have abandoned Christian genocide. They've jumped. What are they on now? So, when conflicting narratives emerge from within a movement, critics often point to those contradictions to question the movement's seriousness or legitimacy. Okay? You go here, you say, then the other, what is it called? The other ones that, I don't know what they call themselves, they go to the same place, they say, so they're conflicting and contradicting. And then they will mess it up and they will leave it. They will run off, leaving everything for IPOB. Whatever they pick up from IPOB, they run on it. They run with it, mess it up, leave it, jump onto it. Wait for what is wrong with all of you? It weakens the international advocacy, the campaign for the release of our people, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the campaign for the Biafran restoration is weakened on the international level with this behavior. The legal advocacy, human rights advocacy, the international awareness, the engagement with foreign audiences. Because successful advocacy requires clear messaging. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu always talks about consistency. Consistency strengthens advocacy, while confusion makes it weak. Someone said, Uchechi, what I do? Oh, I'm being compared to Winnie Mandela, who appeared in several protests of the ANC. But what I'm here to tell you today is that historically, the anti-apartheid struggle was led by a broad network that included the ANC, the UDF, which is the United Democratic Front, the trade unions, student organizers, women's group, churches, civic associations, and international solidarity movements. So Winnie Mandela was one of the most visible and influential faces of the struggle because of Mandela being in the prison. But many demonstrations, rallies, international campaigns, sanction movements, and protest actions were organized, listen to me today, were organized collectively by the movement structure and allied organizations. So you morons, when you sit in your house and type, why is the church not doing protests without the women in the world? What have you done and said to Uchechi, come, you're needed here. Uchechi, I need to speak to one of these leaders. This is what is required of us. It is for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. No, you create your own camp. You start your chaos. And then you say, what is Uchechi doing? Uchechi, what is she doing? All the protests that Winnie attended were organized by the ANC, by the movement structure. Her role was often that of a symbol of resistance, a mobilizer, and public advocate. She was not the one setting them up. It was the people, because they had sense. They had a common purpose. They were fighting for the release of their leader and the restoration of their people, for apartheid regime to end. That was their job. That was their goal. That was their focus. And they got it. They held hands together. When she was taking, they took, what's her name? Took her children. Somebody took her children to somewhere else and was taking them to school while Winnie was busy. How many of you has asked me how I managed within that became? How many of you morons? How many of you?
you allow your empty brain to open its mouth first before your mouth opens up. The ANC itself had departments, regional structures. They had organizers, they had diplomats, women's leagues, youth organizations, here and there. They were all doing it. It doesn't mean that they didn't have internal strife. They did, but there were codes to deal with that. So major liberation movements are not advanced by one individual. It is not Uchechi that will advance it. Uchechi actually needs your help. Uchechi has attended protests organized by the IPOB leadership. How many of you came? We went for 30th of May. Why are you here? You are here for Biafra restoration. There was 30th of May. How many of you came? How many of you were there to remember those who are actually the pathway for this very restoration that we are presently seeking? Yes, I will leave that for now. Okay? There's another thing that this false narrative, the impact upon our Biafra restoration and that release of our people and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it creates supporters fatigue. Many committed supporters become exhausted. It's not everyone has the mental strength for this madness, for this directionlessness rather. People become tired of it. Constant drama, endless allegations here, there. It wears people out. Internal conflict, daily controversy. Eventually, some disengage completely. You see them, they just withdraw. I promise you today, there are loads of people who support what we do. There are loads of people who support Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. There are loads of people who support, even a lot of them are upset, though, about some certain utterances of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but that hasn't stopped them from rooting for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu or for making sure that IPOB stands. Your job is to disintegrate it. Let me give you a little bit of story. So, in the Bible, the first case that the wise King Solomon judged was between two women who were having altercation on whose child was alive. Apparently, newborn babies are, of course, might look alike. And also, it could be that they were male. And the one who had eaten her child the previous night had perhaps changed the other woman's child into her dead child's clothing. Okay? So a mother, knowing the smell of her child, knowing the features of her child, said, "This is not my child. This is not my child. Then this is my child." Then the thief said, "No, it is not your child. It is my child." So when they appeared in the presence of the king, the wise King Solomon, and said, "This is my child, but this woman says it is not. My child was alive. Nothing happened to my child. Now I have a dead child. And looking at how this child looks, is not my child." I think that I believe that this is the living child or the living baby is my baby. I think, yeah, those were babies, not child. They were still very young, newly born babies. So it is my child. It is not my child. It is my child. So who would I believe? Okay. I'm not sure the king would have divided the baby into two with a sword, but I believe that was a test. Okay? And he said, "Okay, I will divide this baby into two. So you take half, while while the other woman takes half." So guess what? The other woman said, "Very good, divide the baby." But the woman who owns the child, what does she say? She said, please do not. Let the baby live. Give the baby to the woman. When the baby grows up, the baby will know who his mother, who his real mother is. So if you actually believe in something, if something belongs to you, you would not want it to be destroyed. You will not want chaos. You will not want confusion. You would want to keep it. You would want to protect it. But because you do not care, because it doesn't bother you, what you want is that food that you want to eat. So that woman, what she wanted was the other child. So she can cook and eat because she's already eating her own. Or whatever. So she wants the other half of the baby, knowing that it is not hers. So there was no empathy. So all you running around and causing confusion, you have no empathy because you have no love. No true love for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. No true love for his sacrifices. No true love for the sacrifices of other men, of every single member of this movement. We have all sacrificed something. Okay? So when you love something, you protect it. I will continue to teach that. If you love something, you protect it. And keep it. So I'm trying to read some of these comments, but it's distracting me. I saw a comment, but it's disappeared. He mentioned the person in Finland. The midget in Finland killed our people. And now his supporters are not. They're not talking about him. Now I see them around Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has told several people that the reason or some of the judgment against him were based on what Simon Ekpa did. Why aren't you people upset about that? You see how unconscious you all are? You see how unconscious you are? You are very unconscious. Some of the reasons Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was sentenced was Simon Ekpa's atrocities. So all of you who were supporting him and now around Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you are all evil. You are all evil and you must desist from hanging around Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, there is the speculation that I'm seeing here. I will not say much on that now. Like I said, this is not the right time for all of this. This is the time for us to sit together and walk in the path of achieving our goals. If you're saying no on this side and you're saying no on that side, so what should happen then? What should happen? We must secure what we're doing. The DOS has nothing against, I will continue to say that, has nothing against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But like I said, this movement must be protected because this is the backbone of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's backbone. Now, let me tell you something. Write this down. At the right time, I will explain it better. That Simon Ekpa did a voice note to apologize to me. And the voice note has been, I mean, they've asked him to keep it and not to release it yet. All you people that wasted the lives of our people, killed our people, maimed our people. Some of you turned to what is it called? Cannibals, eating humans. When did we become people who do not preserve lives? Those nonsense you did are the reasons those judgments were passed on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now the question, or the $1 million question is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, or was Mazi Nnamdi Kanu aware of this? Was he working with Samuel Ekpa? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has said no several times, and I asked him, he said no. He said no. So it is the unconsciousness of how you people will commit atrocity. Someone will cause chaos and create confusion, and the person just goes scot-free, just sits and carries on like nothing is happening, while the people who are trying to put these things in place suffer the consequences. It has to stop. It has to stop. You all better come together. If you have something you need to do, you go and do it. You come together. But you see this confusion you all want to cause? Nigerian government is laughing. They are happy for your shamelessness and for your greed that you are allowing to push you into the path you should not go. I want history to remember me for integrity. That what I say today, I will say even in the next 30 years to come. I will continue to say it. My words do not change. My beliefs do not change. My principles do not change because of who stands in front of me. These are what we call core values. The impact of this behavior distracts us from our strategic goals. Every successful movement must focus on long-term objectives. This behavior undermines trust. When fake accounts, misinformation, factual disputes become widespread, trust begins to erode. What I want to say today is that we must stand for unity. Every single person in this very movement, IPOB, led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, as led under the leadership of Mazi Chikedozie by the DOS, we will all come together and there will be peace. Peace must reign amongst us. We must stand as what we're standing, we're breaking it. We will break it. It will stand, it will be written in the book of history that the people once said, so that means you will fake one, because it's only when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is free that everybody seems to kind of like each other. That is when it is what you do behind Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that shows who you truly are. It does not mean that people should avoid legitimate debate or criticism. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a healthy movement needs accountability and discussion. Very important. So we must recenter the struggle on truth, unity, and discipline. Okay? Every successful liberation movement possesses 3 essential qualities. That is truth, unity, and discipline. Without truth, movements lose credibility. And also, we must educate our people on how to identify and resist manipulation. Education remains the strongest weapon against propaganda. Throughout history, propaganda has succeeded when people accepted information without questioning it. And these manipulations often uses fear, anger, urgency, division, emotional triggers. When something is annoying you and then someone comes, oh, I'm having the same anger. You join forces. You don't even like each other. You hate each other. But because you're angry at one person, you join forces. As I said, when my link goes live, you can pick the rest of the teaching from there. I'm exceeding 1 hour 30 minutes, and I should begin to land now. So, reinforcing the legitimacy of the movement and the need for coordinated action. Please, my people, history shows that successful political and civil rights movements, or even restoration of nations movement, maintain clear objectives, coordinated messaging, and consistent advocacy. The advocacy must be consistent. So when supporters, when comrades and members speak with one voice regarding core principles, the movement, it gains credibility. We must be very vigilant. We must worry about our integrity. It's very important. It's very important. Okay? So movements succeed when they are organized and disciplined and strategic. I don't deal with discipline. I don't mess around it. I don't mess with it. So the battle before us is not merely a legal battle or a political one. It is also a battle against confusion for truth. So the challenge before us is not simply identifying those who seek to undermine the struggle, but the challenge is actually ensuring that supporters become informed, disciplined, and resilient enough that such efforts ultimately would fail. Okay? So truth, these 3 ingredients that we require to be successful is truth, unity, and discipline. And the truth must be defended, and we must protect that unity that we have. I keep mentioning unity. I have been talking about this, but people don't just listen. Everybody just wants to do what is on their mind. But we must call ourselves to reflection in order to become conscious of these very 3 traits. Let's protect the unity that binds us. Discipline must be maintained, and the pursuit of justice must remain the central focus of our movement, while we maintain discipline, protect unity, and defend the truth. For without this, we are nothing. So we have the responsibility to protect the very purpose that we are called for. May God continue to guide and protect his people. Ise, peace unto you all. From me, from here, it is good night.